Hi, I'm Jess and this is my latest update. So I'm sharing my beekeeping journey. I started beekeeping in May and I currently have 2 hives. So I had 2 hives before, and in my last video I explained how my other hive had lame worker and had to be shook out, which was really sad, and I just wanted to let you know that this is a happier video, better story, progress. So this follows on my first hive that I got on the 10th of May from a local beekeeper called Steve. So I seem to be calling it Steve's hive now. So in my last video we'd fetched the nuke with the bees and put them in the position where the hive was going to be, left them there for a few weeks and then moved them into the proper wooden hive. So that was where we left things last time. The bees were crowding around the hive entrance and getting used to the new hive, and it's been 2 months on since then. That was the 21st of May and today is the 2nd of August. So since that time I've continued to inspect the bees regularly, looking for the queen and eggs, and I've also added several different boxes. So I've got this video is explaining what's happened in the last 2 months, and now I know it's only the 2nd of August, but right now I'm starting to think about winter. Apparently seasons are different when you've got bees, which is just fine by me. I'll always start an inspection carefully, looking to use my hive tool to pull the different parts of the hive apart so the bees stick everything together with propolis to stop any drafts getting in or any predators, or just to make make it more challenging for me, which is fine. So the top metal grate here on the hive is called a queen excluder. So it's metal bars which are set narrow enough so that a worker bee can get through, but not wide enough for a queen to get through, and you do that to control where the queen lays eggs. So you keep honey above a queen excluder and the brood below a queen excluder. One of the things about June, I was suffering with the pollen. I have had such bad hay fever this year. It's been just torture, to be honest. It's been ridiculous. And that is like one of the long-term things about beekeeping that I hope helps. So if you eat enough local honey, it's got bits of pollen from your local area in it. So if you're eating enough of it, it's getting into your system. In the same way that I'm not really allergic to the cat anymore. Overexposure I hope will reduce how much I'm sneezing, because it's been ridiculous. And all of my videos from June, I'm sorry, I'm sniffing the whole time.
Oh, the pollen girls. I mean, I'm sure you know all about the pollen. These dangling bees.
I found a way here of, if you blow gently on the bees, they really don't like carbon dioxide, so they move away from it, and that's so you can see what's going on underneath.
Brood.
Now I'm looking here and there's brood all over the frame. It is full of bees.
The bees all capped.
And I really love looking at bees dangling. Look at them, how cute. So they do this when they're starting to build wax. They build like a daisy chain of bees.
Ah, there she is.
Every time we do a hive inspection, we really do check for the queen or evidence of the queen. So you can see her there with a little speck of blue left. She's longer and a different colour to the other bees, and she moves with purpose.
Well, we've seen the queen, that's a great sign.
It's surprising how quick you can just spot her, to be honest. When you're really, really looking for her, it's surprising how difficult she can be to spot. So this is the 15th of July, which is the day before I choose to add a super onto this. So the other beekeepers have told me once they're covering 8 frames, it's time to add more space onto the bees. so they can expand. And really the aim of this year is to get as much drawn comb as I can, which will help them next year. Really beautiful watching the comb expand. You know, you put in this bit of foundation or even a strip across the top, and the bees just, you know, they just dry it out perfect. Don't know if that makes me sad. They're beautiful.
That looks gorgeous.
So when I put the super on, it's amazing. Like the weather was great. It's been really hot, and the bees were loving it. They're very pleased. So they're drawing all these new frames of honey out really quickly.
Most impressed, ladies. This is gorgeous. Look.
This is 11 days later.
We just had a little strip of foundation. That is stunning, girls. Absolutely.
They are just teamwork at its best, aren't they?
This is a full one. Look at that. Oh, we're going to put so much honey in there. Well, what a fantastic job.
So with the hive, you just add more parts of it. It's like Lego. You just keep adding the additional boxes as the bees need it and taking it off as they don't need it. So here I've got 2 what they call brood boxes, and then 2 honey supers. So the brood boxes are deeper to give the bees more space. That's where the queen's laying her eggs, and the bees are, well, that's where the brood is. The nurse bees are looking after it. And then a honey super is shallower, and that's just because it's really flipping heavy to lift a massive box of honey. And if you had a brood box full of honey, I mean, well, it'd be difficult to lift from the top of that tower anyway, but that's the only reason they're shorter. I mean, you can use either box for either, but the deeper ones are better for having your brood in. And I've really loved just watching the bees as well. I go down to look at the bees and I come back quite a bit later and my grandma's like, oh, what was wrong? I was like, nothing. I was just sat watching them coming and going. It's nice. So from the 4th of July, which was when I shook the other bees out into the field, the idea was that quite a lot of those bees would hopefully join in with this colony here. So what I was a little bit worried about was the amount of space that they had. I didn't want them to be overcrowded or for there to be any problems. If there's plenty of space for the bees, you know, they'll fill it, but you don't want too much space. It's a bit of a balance. So after I'd shaken the bees out, especially since 2 of the frames were test frames from this hive anyway, I wanted to make sure that the bees had the most of the resources. So I added the brood box from the other hive and the super onto this tower as it became. And the bees have done really well. The extra resources have helped. So the top super, they emptied that and brought all of the nectar into the other super together. So now I've got like one really full super and plenty of stores in the brood as well. So this is coming into the middle of July. They've got 2 brood boxes and the bees are filling out the space. You know, looking back to the end of May, there's at least double the amount of bees that were there. There's loads of bees. It's lovely.
There's the queen. She's blue.
And we see the queen again. She's on one of the new drawn out frames. sometimes the bees are building extra comb. So this is sometimes, it's called brace comb, it's extra comb that's not in the line of the frames, and you generally remove it, just otherwise it makes it, you know, more difficult for the frames to fit together. It's stuff that you could accidentally squeeze other bees with. So I take that off and put it at the side of the hive until the end of my inspection. There's usually some bees on it, just clearing out whatever nectar's in there, but they all fly away. This is what a laid frame looks like, is what I'll show you next, and that on the frame the queen lays sort of in the middle pattern, so she lays in a circular pattern, and then in a band around the outside of that the bees put pollen, and they're going to use that to feed the worker and drones, and then around the top edge, like a halo, is honey, so that's stores for them. So a perfect frame has this laying pattern, they call it, so you are looking for that. When you've got a well developed queen, she develops a nice laying pattern. So towards the end of July, when I was inspecting, absolutely loads of the bees were covered in this white substance, and I thought, oh no, I've got like bee mould, or what is wrong with the bees now? I was just thinking the worst, you know, you panic as a new beekeeper. So I took loads of videos and pictures of it to be able to show more experienced beekeepers, but then I was looking up on the internet seeing what it could be. And it's Himalayan balsam, which is a type of, well, it's classed as an invasive species, it's a weed really. And when the bees go into those flowers, they just get doused with really light pollen, and that's what it is. And they're just beautiful to watch. I spend so much time at the entrance. You get the odd bee come and land on you. They're so calm. They're so calm. And they're so calming. So as we're coming to August now, I'm going to be looking to prepare for winter, and that the next big job is to take off that honey super. I might be leaving it for the bees to use in winter, but it'll depend how much stores I've got in the rest of the brood box, because I don't want to be feeding them unnecessarily. You do feed the bees in winter if they need it, but they've made all that honey for them to eat in winter, so you don't take too much of the honey away. But since we've had such a hot and you know, really good summer, they might have made enough for me to have some honey. The next thing I'll do as well in August is treat the bees for varroa mites. So these are like bee nits basically. So they're little mites that are parasitic, and they feed on the bees, and if you get a bad infestation it can destroy a hive. So you're supposed to treat the bees in autumn and in spring really, but times when you don't have a honey super on, because you don't want the treatment to get into your honey, but you treat the bees to reduce the mite infestations. And another thing to do is you check the like corrugated plastic board at the bottom of the hive where everything drops on. You check that to see if there's any mites dropping down. There's a few different ways to test as well, but the bee inspector has said you treat every year. Bees are either livestock or pets, and if it was livestock you would treat them for disease, and if they were pets, like you worm your dogs, you know, you treat them for infestations and disease as well. So I shall be treating the bees in August, and looking to prepare to get them through the winter. So that'll be the next big thing. But summer's been lovely. It's just been beautiful watching them grow. So thank you very much for joining. If you want to see more of my beekeeping videos, I've got loads of them on my channel. So thank you. Bye.